I come to some of the hardest things to do, capacity and the point of delivery. This is about attracting great people into teaching, making teaching really, really attractive, developing teachers. And teacher training initially is very easy. What is far more important, how you invest in the profession once they're actually in the school. One of the biggest complaints that we get, including from Italian teachers, we do a teacher survey every few years, lack of support for ongoing professional development, lack of evaluation. If you listen to the newspapers, teachers complain about evaluation. If you ask the teachers themselves, most Italian teachers tell us in the survey, I feel left alone in the classroom. Nobody really tells me what I do well, what I don't do well. Nobody really helps me to become better as a teacher. Very important part of a high-performing education system. And it starts with how teachers are brought into the profession. Again, Finland is a great example, They get 9 applications for every teaching post. It's very, very hard to get into teacher training. Very, very selective. Only the best succeed. And success is not about passing a test, a concorso, like in Italy. Success is about demonstrating that you have great teaching talent in the school. Teacher education is not about going to a university. Teacher education is to do with learning at the practitioners, learning in school. And what's also interesting, in Finland, it's not only the practical experience that you gain in your teacher education, but every teacher is expected to do a research master's thesis in their teacher education. And now you ask me, why do you want your teachers to do a research master's thesis? They're not going to be researchers in life. But that's precisely what Finnish teachers are about to do. They are meant to be remaining researchers throughout their life. They are meant not only to sort of convey prefabricated knowledge in the classroom, but they are meant to contribute to the profession. They are meant to own their professional practice. Very important parts of this. We have looked at data on this. We have asked school principals to what extent does lack of really, really good teachers hinder instruction. And now Italy is not doing so badly, but you can see it's above the line, so this is a problem perceived by school principals. And that's something to really work on. And if you actually ask yourself, what's the idea of a teacher? How do you actually develop this? The National Institute of Education in Singapore is a great example where they have a certain philosophy of what they expect from a teacher. Teacher as a learner. And let's go back once more to Finland. How do they keep teaching so attractive? One of the challenges that Italy has seen, but many other countries too, is that teaching has become a less and less attractive profession. Finland has been able to maintain a high level of attractiveness in the profession. Have a look at how Pasi Salberg, an expert in Finland, explains that. The video didn't work. But essentially what he's explaining to you is that teachers are not left alone to just teach. They are actually going back. They're going to continue their development, their professional practice. They continue to be connected. And one of the ways in which you can see that in the PISA data, for me that's the most impressive statistic from PISA, is that only 5% of the performance variation in Finland lies between schools. Every school succeeds. Because every school knows what every other school is doing. Every teacher knows what every other teacher is doing. There you have a connected profession. Very important. You have a high level of professional autonomy, but within a collaborative culture. Incentives and accountability, very, very important part of a high-performing education systems. For students, it means that they know what counts, what matters for success. For teachers, it means that they are investing continuously, every day, in improving professional practice. Not only their own practice, but also the practice of their colleagues. And it has to do with a balance between what we call lateral and vertical accountability. In most high-performing systems, you do not just see vertical accountability and you're telling your boss, your principal, and your minister how good or how bad you are, but it's about connecting with your fellow teachers, with your fellow colleagues, creating networks of innovation that spread good practice. And that's very, very hard to do. That's why I put it very much on the left of the chart. Knowledge in education is very sticky. it rests in the classroom where it is. If you work in medicine, I started my career in medical research, and what was great, if you invent something, the day after, everybody in the world is knowing about it. You can actually mobilize a lot of knowledge very quickly. If you do that in a classroom, you're a great teacher, doing really good work. Maybe nobody else is ever going to know about it. And that's really the challenge here, high-performing educations, being very, very good in mobilizing good practice. Very important. I want to show you a couple of data points on that. Have a look at this. Everybody knows that school autonomy in Italy is very, very low. Schools do not have a lot of discretion. You know that from your own experience. That's also what our data show. But school autonomy is not a guarantee for success. I want to show you something. If school autonomy only means that the principal can decide everything and the teachers can decide nothing, look what happens. You actually see that the less autonomous schools are doing better than the more autonomous schools. So school autonomy can work against you. An environment where school autonomy just means, there's one boss who decides on everything. But if you work in an environment where teachers are part of that equation, where we have something that we call distributed leadership, shared ownership, where teachers and principals collaborate to shape their learning environment, you can see that school autonomy works in your favor. School autonomy is a very important ingredient of a very successful education system, but in this kind of collaborative culture. I want to show you another picture of this, very controversial in Italy. Transparency in education. If you are in an education system where, results are not shared, they're not known, they're not publicized, again, you can see school autonomy works against you. The more autonomous schools are not doing better. But if you do work in an environment where knowledge is public, teachers, schools share their practice. Parents know what the performance of schools looks like. You suddenly see that school autonomy works in your favor. I know it's very controversial. There are many ways to get this wrong, but actually, when you look at most advanced education systems, that's an important part of their success. Last point I want to make is this notion of shared good practice. If you're in an education system where every school does what it does, there is no shared understanding of what good national policies are, what good mathematics instruction is. School autonomy works against you. But if you are in an education system where actually there is a very, very strong framework, where every teacher, every parent, every student knows what good mathematics looks like, national standards, national evaluation, you can actually see that school autonomy works in your favor. So it's to do with the combination of school autonomy and distributed leadership, school autonomy and transparency, and school autonomy and a shared understanding of what good instruction looks like, that are very important ingredients.